Hi, my name is Charlie Gregoire. I'm the President and COO of Redbird Flight Simulations. Thanks for joining us at Migration 2020. Today, the thing I'd like to talk about are some of the remote tools that we've developed that allow you to connect with your students in a remote manner from your location to wherever their sim is, or to enable your sim at your flight school to be able to offer remote training so the student and the instructor can continue to work, maintain continuity, and but do it in a safe manner, separated from each other. So let's just dive right in. This webinar is not going to cover anything with regards to best practices as far as training or how to instruct using remote tools. This is specifically about the tools, the way we developed and why we developed in that way, and how to use them. For kind of an in-depth look at how to instruct best practices, Josh Harnagle is doing a webinar on best practices for instructing in a Redbird, so you can check that out here in the app as well. So let's real quick talk about why we did this. There's really not much of a reason to go through a history lesson. You know, 2020, COVID, and all that other stuff. That's obvious. That's, you know, that we needed a way in order for the students to be able to, for your student pilots to be able to continue to train, for the sim owners to be able to dial in with an instructor and be able to continue their training and to do it in a safe and separate manner. Really the question is, why did we do it the way that we did it? And I think that's important. When we looked at a solution that would allow for this kind of remote connection, we needed it to be easily accessible, which meant that it had to be inexpensive. We didn't want to all of our users and sim owners to have to go buy expensive equipment. We didn't want them to have to learn new systems, so as a familiar interface as absolutely possible. And we wanted to remove the sort of the anonymity that's created by just sort of streaming data and looking at web pages when you don't have sort of an eye-to-eye connection with your instructor. We think that was important, that to be able to look at your instructor in the eye and for your instructor to be able to look at you in the eye and continue to train as close to the way that you would normally have trained in the aircraft. So what we put together, I think, helps hits all of those points. So the solution that we came up with was really a marriage of an off-the-shelf video conferencing solution. Really, it doesn't matter which video conferencing solutions, whichever one you're comfortable with and your students are comfortable with. Could be FaceTime, could be Zoom, could be WebEx. You can see right back here, I've actually got a Zoom session going on with Alex, who's at a sim in a remote location right now, and we're gonna get to that here in a second. It's the marriage of that off-the-shelf web conferencing technology with a new program that we developed called Redbird Connect. And Redbird Connect is essentially a new feature that runs inside of Navigator that allows the student to grant access to their sim to a person remotely in a secure manner, so that you can get a data stream from what's going on in that sim and do all the things you would normally be able to do from the instructor station right there as if you were sitting next to it. So it allows you to do things like dispatch flights, it allows you to use the instructor station, all the things you would normally be able to do when you're sitting there next to the sim with the student. We added a couple of things to it though as well, things that weren't available in the instructor station before, things that we thought were absolutely necessary because you didn't have the benefit of sitting right there and being able to see what's going on the gauges on the actual simulator, and we'll get to some of that as well. I'll show you here in just a second. But first, let's talk about what the pilot setup is going to be. So, in order to be able to use this, what you're seeing here is an image of an actual customer sim that's set up to be able to use Redbird Connect. Now, you can see here he's got a TD2 at his house. And next to the TD2, here off onto the right-hand side, is a laptop. And it's a little bit closed right here in this picture, but you can imagine it's opened up. That laptop has a webcam on it. And that laptop is what he's going to be initiating the video conferencing session, the Zoom session, the Skype, whichever video conferencing solution you decide to use. Now, it's placed there on the right-hand side purposely. It's placed there so that at any time, the pilot in training can turn and look at you as the instructor, and you can see the student as if you were sitting in the instructor seat next to the student, thus creating a more realistic kind of connection between you and the student as you start to talk through any tips or tricks or any pre-flight or post-flight kind of stuff that might be going on there. It also allows the camera in that video session to be able to show you as the instructor what's going on with as much of the actual sim environment as possible, where the pilot's looking at any given time, where their hands are reaching. You can see the throttle, you can see the yoke. That's important. It's important to try to mimic as much of the information that you would normally be getting in the right-hand seat of the aircraft there as we can. So obviously that image is going to change based on how the student has their camera set up, and that's, you could work with your student on changing the angle to get it to be what you want to see, and maybe that's different for each flight, but that's totally up to you. So that's the off-the-shelf video conferencing solution that allows you to kind of look in. Nothing terribly groundbreaking about that, obviously. The piece that really matters here is that Redbird Connect piece. Now, Redbird Connect, as I said before, was developed to run in Navigator. It's compatible with any of the AATDs that are non-AMS units, so FMX, MCX, LDSD, MX2, all of that stuff. It's also compatible with TDs and TD2s. It's not compatible at this time with Js or J velocities, and it's not compatible with any of the X-Wins or VTOs or the large AMS units at this time. But that's compatibility. Now, your sim, in order to be able to run Connect, has to be running at least Navigator 348 or higher. If you're not sure what version of Navigator you're running, check out your sim is running or your student's sim is running. Have them check out the sim management app, or they can give us a call and we can help walk them through, figure out what they've gotten and what it would take to get an upgrade if software update if they're not on the latest version of Navigator. So now let's talk about the instructor setup. We've seen what the pilot setup looks like. What you're seeing here is actually an image of what you're seeing behind me. This is an example of what an instructor setup might look like. So it's not absolutely necessary to have two monitors, but it really, really helps. This way you can actually have one screen up, it's full screen with that video conferencing solution. You can see what's going on. You can see there's a camera on top of that monitor right there, so they can see me as well. And then on the other screen, I can constantly keep up the instructor station, my virtual PFD, you can see. So I'm getting all of the information I would need to be able to adequately conduct this training session. A reliable internet connection on both ends is absolutely necessary. Although, because of the way we're streaming the data, it doesn't have to be gigabit fiber. It does have to be a good broadband connection though. So let's just walk through a little bit of how this connection is done. Now, it's a two-step process. Now, it starts with on the student side, on their simulator. They'll see on the Navigator homepage a new app called Connect. When they click on that, it's pretty simple. There's a green button that says Start a Connect session. When they click that, it's going to give them a randomly generated code that they're going to share with their instructor. So in this case, you can see the code here on the screen. They share that with the instructor. On the instructor's end, you're going to open a web browser, go to flyredbird.com, and it's going to ask you to enter an access code. Guess what? The code that's on that sim, you type that into this page, and that creates that secure connection between the student's sim and your desktop. So now what you can see is you get access to Dispatch and Instructor Station. There's any of the other apps that are on the student's sim you don't have access to, and that's for security reasons, but the two that you need in order to do a training session, Dispatch and Instructor Station, are right there. So you're going to be able to use it. Now, what you notice is you actually get to start using this sim just like you would be using the sim next to them, with a Navigator interface. Again, familiar interface. Part of this was we didn't want you to have to learn a brand new interface. Now, what you're seeing here is actually a new version of the Navigator interface. This is 3.5. And you'll notice the icons are slightly different, and some of the ways you get to things are slightly different. But this is the newest version of Navigator that you're seeing here. But it works with the 3.4.8 versions as well. So I go to Dispatch just like normal. I dispatch a flight. It's going to show me all the screens that I would normally see. I'm going to launch the instructor station. I can see my overhead map, and I can see the airplane now where the sim, my student sim, is flying. Just like I'm sitting next to it. Do all the things I would normally be able to do, change my base map. In this case, I want to see the VFR sectional. Now you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, there's a new icon, and it looks like a little EFIS. And when I click on that icon, it's going to bring up this virtual PFD. Now this is getting data from the actual sim and representing this here, so I can actually see all of the primary flight information that I need to be able to properly conduct this session. So it's going to show me the radio frequencies that are dialed in. It's going to show me the obviously all of the AHRS and ADC information that I would normally get out of a standard glass panel aircraft. Now, if the student is flying an ILS, I'm going to see things like localizer feathers come up on the overhead map overlaid there, and I'm also going to see the CDI change, and in this case the glide slope. Again, if you look at the upper left-hand corner, the profile view button, which is right next to that EFIS, is going to bring up the profile view. Now, that's not new. That's been in Instructor Station for some time. But you can see here how I can get a lot of information on one screen between the virtual PFD, the overhead map with a VFR sectional, or it could be an IFR low en route chart or a high en route chart overlaid there, and I get the profile view there for the pilot as well. So we do our training session like normal. Then at the end, if it's a gift flight, I'm going to see the way that student scored, and I'm going to conduct the training session right there over Zoom using Redbird Connect. I've got all the information I need now. When we're done, the student goes back to their back to that Connect app, and they'll hit the Stop Sharing app. And the nice thing is, once you start a sharing session, it's good until the student either restarts their sim or they hit the Stop Sharing button. So you don't have to restart a new Connect session every time you restart a flight. But the the sim owner or the person at the sim has full control over whether or not their sim is shared to the outside world. So that's Redbird Connect. That's how we built it, that's why we built it the way we did it, and that's how you use it. Now let's see it in action. All right, Alex, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and kick off a Connect session.
All right.
You can see I'm here at flyredbird.com on my screen. And as soon as he has a code, he'll read that code off to me and I'll enter it here.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Quebec, India, Lima, 6-7 Mike.
All right, and you can see that after I type that in, now I'm connected to his sim. His sim is TD415. You can go back to the home screen there, or you can leave it on that screen. Doesn't really matter, Alex. For the sake of this demonstration, we're just gonna dispatch a free flight. I'm gonna start you off. I like Juneau, Alaska. It looks pretty good up there. We're gonna start you off in the air at about 4,000 feet.
All right.
Yeah, inbound for Juneau, Alaska there. It's a nice clear day. When I hit start flight, you can see I'm dispatching this just like I would dispatch any flight on the sim. It's loading on his screen, and I can see it's loading here. From here I can go to the instructor station. And as soon as the flight loads, it'll move the aircraft to where it's supposed to be. There we are. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and load it. I like seeing it with the VFR sectional overlay, so you'll see I'll pull that up. And I'm also gonna go ahead and click on this virtual PFD so I get his flight data. And I'm gonna bring up the profile view here. Alex, when you're ready, I'm gonna go ahead and unpause you.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to, there should be a runway right off your nose there. I can see it. Just take it in there and land.
Okay.
Now, if this was a normal training session, I could see what he's doing with his hands there. I could see what's going on with the sim and the Zoom meeting here. I can also see everything that's going on here with the profile view and the overhead and this virtual PFD that I'm looking at as well. There is some more information. In the upper left-hand corner, if I click on this gauge icon, I can see some other information, textual information regarding altitude and heading, all the stuff that I see in the EFIS there, and the PFD there. But I'm also getting information like engine RPMs and manifold pressure, where his flaps are. I can see that he's got flaps in, he's got his gear up, and he's ready to land. I'm gonna go ahead and just declutter my screen there. You can also see from here, I can do all the normal weather changes from basic and advanced weather. I can change position, so if I wanted to move him back to where we started or move him to a different area, it's all well and good. I can also manage failures and weights and everything else I would normally do. Again, the point of this was, if you're already familiar with, you don't have to learn a new interface. So you're just using Navigator like you'd be using it there at the sim. So I'm not going to let this play out. I'm not going to wait. We're not going to waste a whole lot of time here. So when we're done with the flight, I'm going to go ahead and end his flight. You can see it's ending there on his. If I were an actual instructor and Alex were my actual student, I might actually give him some feedback on how he did. Since I'm not, I'll probably just do more harm than good. So, hey Alex, great job. You can see here, Alex is actually connected to and identified to the sim. So if we wanted to run a gift session, we could have gone back here to dispatch. We can look at our gift sessions. We can run any of the gift sessions because Alex does have a gift license that he's been working through as he's been working on his private pilot, and we'd see those scores come up as well. So that's it. That's Connect. When we're done with the session, Alex, you can go ahead and hit the stop sharing button.
All right.
So this is going to sever the connection so that nobody can kind of mess with his sim, and Alex is now on his own. Now I'm no longer connected to a sim. Anything I do here is just isn't gonna affect it at all. So I can close my browser and we can move on. So that's it. That's Connect. That's how we did it. That's why we did it. You saw a demonstration. For more information on how to train or best practices to train, check out that seminar that Josh is doing. Check out all the other seminars. And yeah, thanks for joining us at Migration 2020.